just friends. I am so excited. If you've watched any of the 200 calls we've done, you might have noticed that in about 198 of them, I've said, but I really want to interview Jeff Hardy. And I listened to Jeff. I actually brought guests on trying to get them to listen to Jeff Harding's voice and tell me what the element was, because if you haven't noticed, I'm a big fan. And also you were on Father Ted as
I
well.
was. I was Cagney of Beverly Hills.
But it's what it is, Jeff, is you seem to grasp the thing that I have in my entire shorter than your career been trying to grasp. There's a certain type of, you do all different genres, but there's a certain type of thriller that you do that's close to my heart. I mean, I went through the whole Linwood Barclay. There's a certain and to be fair, I was recently booked on a short story for Lee Child, and I'm afraid Audible now think I'm a nutcase because they got an email back from me going, yes, I mean, it was like a tiny short story I'm not even going to be credited on. Do you realize Jeff Harding narrated for Lee Child? Do you realize that puts me like 20 degrees close to like royalty? And they're like, right.
Yeah, good. You keep selling me, kid. I love it.
So there's no selling needed. I will contain, I don't want to be too much like those girls in the Beatles concert, because that wouldn't make for a good call. So let's start off where I make most people start off. Can you please tell me about 10-year-old Jeff?
This I remember hearing on another of your casts. 10-year-old Jeff lived in Andover, Massachusetts. His dad was his headmaster. 2 sisters and a brother. I was a geek.
Happy kid? Were you happy?
I was a happy kid. I was a geek. I was a show off. I don't think anybody in my 4th grade class would be surprised to learn that I became an actor.
What did you do? Did you like TV? What were your hobbies? Did you have dreams, or were you like a live in the moment kind of guy?
I wasn't an unusual kid. I mean, it was a nice neighborhood. I had good friends. It was a nice upbringing. I love dogs. We had a poodle called Truffles. We'd cycle into town and buy penny candy and the usual.
I love that. Okay, so when did life get hard? At what point did you run into the kind of resistance that life dishes out to us all?
Like everybody, I think it gets difficult around puberty, and with Dad being the headmaster and all that, I sort of felt I had to get in more trouble than anybody else to justify my position.
Oh, like you hear about like preachers' daughters kind of thing.
Exactly. But I always got caught. I just don't even bother trying to break the law now because I know I'm going to get caught. Anyway, I got away. I went away to school at 14. I went to Exeter. And then I went to Bowdoin College.
Wait, at 14 you went away to school?
Yeah. Yeah, 14 to 18, high school.
Okay, but so your parents stayed in the other place and
they stayed in Andover. I went away to Exeter.
Was that like I'm moving by guys, or was it like a boarding school situation?
No, it was a boarding school. Yeah.
Did you wear a uniform and everything?
We had to wear coats and ties.
That's actually quite cool.
We had a big protest in the 70s. And we had a big protest and we said, we're not going to wear coats and ties anymore. And the administration would not bend. So we started wearing nooses and jean jackets. Well, I've got a tie on. I've got a jacket. Yeah, it was fun. And we were protesting the war. It was interesting times.
So you were a rebel. Were you already an actor? Did you already know you were acting?
I became an actor at Exeter. I mean, I'd done school plays and stuff, but no, that happened. And then when I went away to Bowdoin, at the summer, the Bowdoin Theater becomes the Maine State Music Theater. And I was encouraged to become an apprentice there. So I did that for 3 seasons. I spent half of my senior year at the National Theatre Institute in Waterford, Connecticut, at the O'Neill. And I trained
still
there.
a happy guy? Still like...
Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, baby. No, the day I left home, I was happy. And then as soon as I finished college, I went to Morocco and I taught in an American school there for 2 years.
Wait, Morocco?
Yeah, why not? There's an American school in Tangier, and nobody else would hire me. I had no qualifications. I had a BA in studio art from Bowdoin College.
So kind of experience in Morocco. You're in your 20s at this point, right?
So I'm 22 and I speak a bit of French, which helps. And pretty soon I met my wife-to-be. She's Irish. She's called Mary.
Where did you meet her? In Morocco?
Yeah, because they have a little theater. So the expatriates of Tangier would get together and do a show. I played the King of France in The Lion of Winter. Mary was assisting the director. Our eyes met across Patrick Thursfield's living room, and it was fate after that.
Do you do a good Irish accent because you live with... Because I find I
Mary,
can't. My husband's
Mary
from
would
Glasgow.
never say it. She says it's getting better. It's not as embarrassing as it was, but it'll never be good enough for her.
But you try. I mean, I've been told I'm not allowed to follow my husband around and try to sound Scottish anymore. That it's embarrassing.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do when you have to do accents in books?
I've stopped. Do you know what, Jeff? I've lived here, 2 decades now. I actually can't tell the difference anymore. If I'm watching a TV show and you ask me if it's American or British, I have to stop and really think about it, because
Really?
it's just all... And also because I work with American, you know this, you work with Americans, you do American books, but you're immersed in the UK. My accent is now completely hopeless. I just tell them, don't hire me if it's a full character for British or Irish. I can do Irish, it's okay. It's a little different.
Okay. I mean, northern and southern and...
Yeah, no. Let's not get...
Okay, we won't get big. No, there was a wonderful old American actor here, Ed Bishop, and there was a gang of us arrived about the same time, and he was kind of our mentor. And at one point I went to him, I said, Ed, should I learn to receive pronunciation? He said, kid, why do you want to compete with them?
Well, that's the way it feels. That, because you're the best you can be. I'm never going to be. So now I would just refer them to one of my British narrator friends.
Okay. Yeah.
They'll refer me to one of their American books,
No, I did. I was cast to do British books occasionally, and I said, no, this is... And yeah, we all have friends in the business who are grateful for a referral. Yeah,
for that book. But I've got to tell you that I think the reason your books mean so much to me, because people can look at this and they're thinking, thrillers. We all know thrillers. They're hardly like, life-altering epiphany. But the thing about thrillers is, when I first moved over here, I moved a lot to different countries, Channel Islands, this and that. We moved a lot. And I always got homesick in the beginning. And when you're homesick, and I remember a time when I was in London and I got ill and I was homesick, and I would listen to your audio, because when I was in America, I listened to British. I listened to Agatha Raisin with MC Beaton, who is like, I just want to cry saying her name. I mean, Penelope Keith. Doing MC Beaton. I mean, if I could be Penelope Keith, but
she narrates books. I've been in a studio with her.
You've met Penelope? Okay, forget the Beatles thing.
We were in Bath. We recorded in Bath together, and she was doing Blithe Spirit at the theater and reading books all day. Amazing woman. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not like this. I swear I'm not. So the thing is, your books, I found your books at a time that I was homesick. And I don't know what you do. It's not just your voice. I'm an audiobook narrator. I know that it's not just a voice. But the minute you started narrating, I was in America. And the thing I like about thrillers is they start off with every man with his Mr. Coffee and it brings you into America. And then like every man's wife gets kidnapped and everyone. My favorite was the one, I think you did this one, where the girl wakes up and her entire family's gone. Pretty sure you did this one. Yeah, it's every man. You start off with that. I feel like I'm back home. And I also know exactly what I'm getting. Do you make a conscious effort to, because you're not supposed to play the genre, you're supposed to play the part, the words, right? And every character's, how do you make it? It's undeniably a thriller. And
that's just luck of voice, I think. You know, I mean, you prep a book, you get the feel of the book. I don't make a conscious effort to sound like the book. If the book is prepped, first page comes up, I start reading, and generally that's the voice. I've been in the studios years ago. I do it all from home now, but years ago they used to say, let's go back and do chapter 1 again because you didn't get into it until chapter 2.
Yeah.
You know that? And I loved producers who did that. I thought that was nice.
I'm having to do that.
But you find a rhythm, don't you? Every author, different rhythm.
Like you're not friends with the character yet.
Like, well,
until you get into the book a little bit, then you kind of feel like you know the character. Like you know it on paper, but
generally I'm the character through the prep. And then so many of my books are repeats. God bless them. So, you know, I know them from the last book. So it's like falling in with friends.
How did you become a narrator? How did you go from acting to narrating? When did this happen?
I was acting with an actress called Helen Horton, and she was reading for charity. And she said, you should do this too. And it was a little mom and pop organization down in Lance Street in SE1. And there were 2 lovely old ladies there. And we'd do a little bit of reading with a lapel mic. No sound booth or anything. And we would put this stuff, and it did it all for free. But it gave me a lot of experience. And then afterwards, we'd sit down and share a bottle of sherry.
Excuse me, you worked for the RNIB as well, didn't you?
Well, I got from there into the RNIB, and they are tough. You know, they audition hard.
That's how I started.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't even know you could earn money reading books. When I started, I thought it was a volunteer thing.
Yeah.
So somebody at RNIB said, no, maybe you should contact ISIS. And it all took off from there. Now I work for dozens of companies.
So did you in the beginning, because I think you started when it was mostly studio work in the old, they called you not often with auditions, they just booked you on the job. Do you find that you fell into the types of books that you did easily in the beginning, or did it take a while before you ended up doing the high profile thrillers that you do? Or how did your career trajectory look like? Because there wasn't that desperation that there is now in the industry, was there? It was a more gentler industry.
Oh, it's, you know, and then for me it still is, because all the companies I've worked for, I've been working for 30, 40 years.
And
so I know
Jeff Harding.
But
I'm not going to not do that. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I'm a fan. Cards on the table. Well, do you know what it is? Because I feel like I want to capture something. I'm past the book me for bigger jobs, book me for this. I'm past that stage.
Yeah.
I'm at the stage that, and I was an actress, so I know about playing the part, playing the character. But I feel like I want to create that world. You create a world. I can feel the world tangibly when you record, and I want to learn how to do that, because you don't find it often in audiobooks, do you?
No, I think you're right, but I go back to find the rhythm of the book when you're prepping.
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing I did was, oh my God, Broken Trust, Mike Lupica writing as Robert B. Parker, the Spencer books. And I did those years and years and years ago. And W.F. House asked if I'd do this one. Well, I thought, somebody else writing as, and it's just perfect. He writes in Parker's voice. And I was meeting people that I'd been friends with for 20 years. Again, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And Hawk, and it's like falling into a feather bed. It really is.
Can you fall a little bit faster? Because I've run out of books to listen to.
I'm recording
you
20 a year. That's
I need you to work
I think
more,
if you go
Jeff.
into the back catalog, you can find enough.
I think I've gone through most of them.
I hope you have listened to 1,000 of my books.
I
occasionally put you to sleep?
I listen to every night before I go to sleep. I've listened to audiobooks since Agatha Raisin in LA. I think since audiobooks started, I've listened to audiobooks every night before I
remember when they
sleep.
were all for little old ladies and traveling salesmen.
That's
Now
Agatha Raisin.
One. Oh,
yeah.
Just, I mean, they'll tell everybody I know they can go to the library and download a book onto their phone for free. Yeah. It's like, really? Like, yeah. I mean, they won't be this year's books, but you want to give them a try. That's how to start.
And there's so many amazing thriller writers. I only discovered that this year because I was getting my books.
Who do you like? Who do you like to narrate?
My God, I'm spoiled because this year I fell back in love with indie writers. I started reaching out as my little cure for what everyone's afraid of AI and freaking out. And I started hearing writers complaining, saying that like they were sold AI and like crying literally because the reviews were so bad. And so I started reaching out to them saying, actually, your numbers are great. I love your book. Let me do it. And so some of them I've done this year. I fall in love with I'm just like, I'm so blessed. I'm just like, I'm doing the Jeff Harding kind of thriller books. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I want to be the female. I want to be like, I like the gritty edge because I'm never going to be the lovely young blonde love interest. I'm not.
No,
I'm not a YA.
wrote novels and it didn't fit. I just felt uncomfortable with them. Catherine Rowe. No, it ain't me.
So, do you ever turn down work, or do you ever even get offered work that you feel uncomfortable
I will take everything that I'm given. I mean, in that particular case, my friend Catherine said, "Do you want to do any more of these?" And I said, "No." But no, I like the challenge of if I really hate a book, it's more of a challenge to bring it to life because I've got to find in my mind who's listening and tell them the story. Life.
Are you still happy?
Me now? Happier than I've ever been in my life.
Really? I love that.
Yeah.
So what is your day like? So what do? Are you like a writer? You narrate at a certain time every day? Do you have rituals?
I get up in the morning and walk the dog for an hour. Then that clears my head and gets the blood moving. Come back, have a little breakfast, and up into the studio on a working day. As time goes by, I'm devoting more of it to golf. So if it's a really sunny day, I'm gonna turn the computer off and go play golf. But I get my books in on time. I'm assiduous about that.
I love that. I love that because I know a couple of my friends on this call, Karen and Kim, I see you, are the first people to say that what you do outside of the booth is the most important thing. They're always saying you've got to do things, have rich lives, to have something else that you love to do.
No, I mean, I have a little garage out back of the house, and I do carpentry, and I turn wooden bowls. And recently, I was making golf ball cages. My brother-in-law said, "I bet you can't make one of these." Oh, okay, I'll take that challenge. So,
but it's good. It's healthy. It's good for you, isn't it?
don't you think it's good to do something with your hands that you can see the result of? I mean, we do these books and it goes out there and it's, it's a cloud, but to actually physically do something and
Yeah.
then produce the physical result is satisfying too.
I do need to learn how to be less workaholic because there is this blanket I've been meaning to crochet.
I mean, what's your typical day in the studio?
Um, I'm trying really hard not to spend more than 4 hours in the booth
Okay.
every day. But things like the stupid, I'll be happy. Okay, this is the thing. Summer in the UK is
Yeah.
not the way I remembered it as a young tan girl in California with a swimming pool and air conditioning. So in the fall,
this year, wasn't it?
yes, it's
Oh,
and everyone's like acting like it's wonderful. And the English people seem to love the heat and they go out. Just like, where's the air conditioning?
have you
Seriously.
in your studio? Have you found an air conditioner that is silent? No,
No.
doesn't exist.
And
So,
I have
do
a
they know how
bird.
much we sweat?
Yes, I know. And I have a bird. And when you have a bird, you can't open windows. And
Yeah.
I don't care how insulated your booth is. When you have a bird shrieking at the top of their lungs, that gets through. So it's like, it's the whole summer is just like, how many more days? And I keep checking AccuWeather and BBC Weather and writing down the temperature they say it's going to be for the next like month. And then I check it again. They lied.
Yeah, it's lying. No, it's not right. So tell me about a bird. What kind of a bird?
A budgie.
A budgie.
A
Okay.
budgie.
And it's
Budgie.
free in the
It's what?
you don't keep it in a cage. You let it fly around the
Oh,
house.
oh no, it runs the house. It talks.
Okay.
It says where the body's buried. I've taught it in good Jeff Harding style. It
Good.
says, "What are you doing?" I've got a bird. Yeah, um it was my nod at being British.
Budgie is. Did you know what a budgie was before you came to Britain?
Never, ever, ever. I remember when we got it, the woman at the pet store was like, "Oh, you should give it toys." I'm like, my husband didn't want a cat. I'm like, "Great, we'll get this thing in a cage." And I was like, "Why would I get it a toy? It's a bird. It's going to be sitting in the cage." And I was home alone, and my husband was at work, and I was crocheting, funny enough. And I'm sitting there watching Emmerdale, I think, at the time, and my first bird turned around and went, "Kiss, kiss."
Wow.
I had a heart attack. And then I learned that they're like little people. Do you have any pets? You have a dog.
Yeah, we've got a Tibetan Terrier called Hobo.
I love that. I think, who would we be without our pets?
I think it's really important. I mean,
Yeah,
Mary and I chose not to have kids, but
yeah.
the instinct will out, and so it does with dogs with us.
And don't get me wrong, all my friends that are parents out there, I love you so much, but I was laughing at you during COVID because they were all complaining about their kids. I was like, so you felt sorry for me for years.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think, yeah, child free by choice. Yes. um, but the thing is, and I love my friends with kids. I think it's
Oh
lovely.
yeah, yeah.
Some people are,
Oh, that's fun because you get to
yeah,
give them inappropriate gifts and then watch their parents' faces.
or loud ones. Yeah,
Yeah, drum kits and Hawaiian.
drums. So, okay, so you live in the UK. Did you ever
Yeah,
consider moving back to America?
I never did. I had I don't know, big moment. The minute my foot touched the ground in Morocco, I knew I was never going to live in America again. It just,
Wow.
I had no idea. And like I say, I had a perfectly happy, easy upbringing in America. I mean, Vietnam was a little scary, but I was 1 year too young. I got called up, but I didn't get called. So that might have soured me a little bit. But it just was, oh my God, everything I've known before this from the news or whatever, there's a new perspective on it. And that's incredibly exciting. It's like everything I knew about Morocco was wrong, because then I went to Morocco and found out what it really was. And I think you have to do that. I've enjoyed that in work. You know, I went to South Africa and Israel when we weren't supposed to go there. And I came away thinking, I have no right to comment because I don't live there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the joy of traveling, for me.
It changes you. It makes you a different human being.
I think it makes you more tolerant. Yeah, definitely.
I did learn everything I knew about the UK from watching Only Fools and Horses and One Foot in the Grave. So I kind of had
Monty Python?
Huh?
Monty Python?
Yeah, Monty Python as well, but not
That's
so much. I'm an Only Fools and Horses, Father Ted, One Foot in the Grave. Keeping Up Appearances.
Well, I played golf today with the vicar from Keeping Up Appearances.
Did you?
Yeah, Jeremy Gittins. He's my buddy.
I still can't get over the fact you met Penelope Keith.
Was
she nice? Was she nice?
She's wonderful. I mean, she's just a total pro. And I worked, when I first came to London, I was working backstage. I used to hang Judas in Superstar. I worked up on the fly floor.
Wow.
And I worked on a show she did called The Millionaireess. There was a day when we were quite near to opening. I was standing beside the stage, and the director came and he said, "Penny, darling, you're giving me Margot from The Good Life." And she said, "John, darling, that's what the punters are paying for."
But to be fair, she did the character. I don't know if you listen to audiobooks, if you've ever listened to, because it's a comfy, cozy kind of series. But the character she played in Agatha Raisin, was such a delight that when they came out with it on TV as a TV series, a lot of the fans, including myself, were up in arms.
Why isn't this
Penelope? You're not Penelope Keith. Because she's supposed to be older and middle-aged and obnoxious and pissed off. And you fall in love with characters. I think, what was your favorite character that you played in audiobooks?
Well, I mean, Reacher, and I think Alan Richardson is doing a wonderful job. I mean, Jesus. I watched the first few episodes and I thought, oh my God, he's doing it just like I do the books. I love him.
I haven't seen it. I've got to.
Oh, they're great. Just great. Because, Lee Child was a television director before he started writing the books. He worked at the BBC. And then he thought, this isn't for me. And he started writing these books. And the first one was full of mistakes. He didn't know what a stop sign was. He didn't know the difference between a pavement and a sidewalk. So those have been re-edited. But the first one I read and I thought, I kind of like this. This is fun. But nobody had any idea it was going to be as big as it was.
Yeah.
And then I think I did the first 6 or 7. And then, somebody else, some other publishing house buys the rights and they put their favorite person doing it. So I lost them.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, there was a gap in the middle. But then Penguin got in touch and said, will you re-record those and you can be the voice for all of them? And I went, oh yeah, thank you.
Because you are the voice. I'm sorry. Some characters you just own.
When you pick up a book that you love, it's so easy. It's just like a box of candy. And I love this man's rhythms. I like the way he writes. Carl Hyacin for humor. Have you listened to any of those?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Star Island.
Okay.
Give it a try. This is very, very, very black humor, based in Florida. And there's a repeating character called Skink who hides out in the Everglades and emerges.
Kind of what I'd like already. So I want to write that down. What was it? What was
Carl
the title?
Star Island.
Star Ride.
Star Island.
Star Island. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
but anything by Carl Hiaasen, you'll love them.
Okay, got it. Okay, I'm writing it down because I want to check it out. So, yeah, that's because you asked me like when you said that with a character, I'm thinking about the characters that I immediately like to, and they were all female sociopaths.
Yeah. I didn't know myself until I started getting cast.
Well, I always say that because when you do audiobooks, you realize how few boundaries you actually have, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's your tendency? I mean, again, it's the character of the book. I like to ham it up. So, if RNIB gives me a Dr. Seuss, I'm in heaven. I can play it to the hilt. And then, you get some dry documentary history book, and then you have to rein that in a little,
Yeah.
So it's different with every book. I like a book that allows me to have that latitude and play different characters.
Yeah. And I recently did children's books, a series of 11 children's books. I would never have thought. I actually, when the guy emailed me, I think I was like, are you sure you know who you're emailing? Because I've just finished doing this psycho killer book. Are you sure you meant to me? I enjoyed them. And I thought I was pretty good at them. They're not YA, they're different. You really can just play with children's books.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's reading to your kids or your mom reading to you.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful fun.
Yeah, it is. I want to do time travel. I want to do more time travel. I'm a big fan of your books and time travel. If I'm gonna get a listen to a book, I love a good time travel.
There's God, I'm not going to remember the titles of them, but there is a series about a guy who travels back and forth in New York City, and he goes back. So then it's like stepping through a wall, and all of a sudden he's back in Gaslight. And
you've got to if you remember the title, send it to me. I need to.
I will. I'll look it up.
Yes, because I search time travel all the time, and I've never heard of that one. And I would kill for new time travel.
Here's the 3 books, I think. I didn't know that the top of the Statue of Liberty, when it was all shiny copper, was in a park, and you could go and climb the torch. And it was a couple of years before they put it on top of the statue in the middle of the harbor.
Oh, really? I didn't know that either.
It was just a feature in a little park in Manhattan.
Have you ever lived in New York?
Never lived. I mean, I bad family memories from my mother. So I was told it was a place where I could only be killed. And then Mary, my wife, said, "You're going to New York and we're going to get you over this." And she took me straight to a hotel, and she got 2 martinis down me at noon. And then I loved New York. I relaxed and discovered it wasn't the evil place my mother thought it was.
How long have you been narrating?
I've been narrating for 40 years.
How long?
40.
And what's different about you narrating now as a person and your approach or anything, and you when you started? Are there any things you learned or?
I thought this might be coming out, and I'm happy to answer it. I'm pretty sure when I started out, I was playing characters, and now I'm being characters. I let them inform me. I don't inform them.
Yeah, there was a series, Linwood Barclay series. I can't remember the name. There were like 4 of them. And it was like the same town, and the characters were like recurring. I'd have to look it up in like my books.
Yeah, no, I remember them.
Yeah, I got sick because I didn't sleep, almost at all, because I couldn't turn the stupid audiobook off. But I blame you for that.
No,
You,
I think
you and Johnny Heller both
right.
did that to me with your
That's what
books.
I'm talking. His rhythms carry you
Yeah,
along,
yeah.
and he knows how to write the final sentence of each chapter, so that you really want to listen to the next chapter.
And
I
you
get
don't
what you.
make your women stupid. I love that about you. You don't make, I literally, if I do a dual book with a male narrator and they say reach out, and I literally say, and I've probably offended them, that could explain, or my, yeah, because I reach out and I say, could you please not make the woman sound too high pitched and girly? Because then I will sound more manly than you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, I didn't realize for a long time. If you listen, you get on the underground, get on a train, get on a bus, and listen to the voices around you.
Yeah.
Two things. One, you realize that women don't sound that much different to us.
Right.
For me, it's take the Adam's apple out, you know. But again, let the characters inform you. Some women are going to be deep voiced, some are going to be high and squeaky. The author will tell you, the character will tell you. I had
I
one
think they take a
terrible.
shortcut. They heard somewhere women's voices go up at the end of the sentence, and they take a shortcut
Mm,
and they make every sentence go up. So their women always sound like they're perpetually confused.
yeah. And I want to master vocal fry as well.
Oh,
I love that phrase.
do you know what the thing is? I have an experience with that, Jeff, because in my early days, because I began audiobooks right before the influx of, they say, the post-COVID influx, a lot of, and then the digital and narrating's changed. The female
Yeah.
narrating voices changed. And there was a lot of vocal fry. There was a style that was getting popular. And there was one point before I kind of found my niche, before I got comfortable just like grabbing the books that I wanted to do, which I finally did, and I'm happy. But there
Mm,
was one point that I was like, well, I have to get work, so I did an audition faking that kind of vocal fry thing. And I not only got an immediate response from the writer, which hadn't happened, but I was like getting, feeling a bit left out. I got an immediate response from the writer and saying, could you do the rest of the books? And I
wow.
then had to say, because I had to ask myself, and I felt bad for having even done it. I had to ask myself, I can't stand that vocal fry sound. There's some podcast I wish I could listen to, and I cannot listen to it. I hate it so much. It drives me crazy. Am I going to do a whole
Yourself do it
series?
for 30 books. No.
Right? So I told her the truth. I said, I don't think I can maintain this. And I also don't think I'm comfortable enough with it once I started. It was embarrassing. I shouldn't have wasted her time, you know, but I
No,
was trying to fit in.
sometimes you make a decision at the beginning of a series that you later come to regret, but you don't know what the
Yeah.
second, third, and fourth books are going to be like. So you create characters that are tough,
Yeah.
hard on the throat and
Yeah.
tough to recreate. But you got to live with that, and people pick you up on it. It's like, wait a minute, he sounds different than he did in the first book. Well, I'm sorry, that was 2 years ago. I forgot.
Yeah. And you listen back and you want to be have you ever, I've had some writers go, I want to put your book out and advertise it. And I'm thinking, I did that 7 years ago. I mean, also, I think the big thing, I stopped trying to sound pretty.
Ah,
I got sick, which was the best thing that ever happened to me because I had like a long-term cough. I struggled. I thought I'm going to lose my job, but I was forced to act and get over myself and stop
hmm,
listening to how pretty my voice sounds or how, right? Like stop
yeah.
listening to my voice and relying on my voice.
Did you find then people started saying how lovely your voice was? Because
No, people don't
I,
mention lovely at all
I,
anymore.
I used to, I,
But
uh,
they do comment on my acting, which is what I
yeah.
would rather anyway in retrospect.
Well, that's the trick, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think it helps if you've spoken a couple of other languages so that you can deal with the foreign words comfortably.
yeah,
You can do it through research, but it's going to be. And then the whole accent thing. I did a book recently where they wouldn't let me do any accents. They said it was cultural appropriation. So I did a whole big fat thriller, and they said, everybody's American. And I said, what, the Russians and the Arabs and the French? And yeah. I said, you can characterize them, but it all has to be in your voice. And I thought, oh, okay. Oh, and I could do male and female, but that was it. Now, the first person who's come back to me with a response to that book is 14 and loves it.
Yeah.
Second person who came back is a golfing buddy. He's 35, and he said, where are your accents? I said, they wouldn't let me do them. So I don't know. I think this is something we're going to run into more of in the future.
Do you ask, did they because like now I'm getting worried because the last book I did had two Russian characters that very clearly kept saying he was Russian with a Russian accent. So I didn't ask. I just gave him a Russian accent. I mean, did they specifically reach out and say,
this
don't do
was done with a producer, and the producer called me beforehand and said, you have to do it this way. And only book that the only book that it happened in. So no,
I'm waiting for pickups. I'm thinking, oh no.
What do you record on? Do you record on Audacity?
Pro Tools.
Pro Tools, okay. There's a guy called, you know about Electric Breeze? Have you ever heard of a company called Electric Breeze? Rich Woodhouse.
Yeah, I recorded a few books for Dreamscape with him in Oxford.
Okay. Yeah. He's written a book, the ultimate book about Pro Tools.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I'll send you the link.
I remember he was quite good at
it. I've been bugging him for years to do it. But since, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not allowed to touch my sound. I have to send raw sound. So they mess with it. And I think it's technically difficult for them to mess with it after I've messed with it.
Yeah, for the publishers, it's raw and it's but see, now that I'm starting to work directly with some writers as well, I'm having to shift mentally back and forth.
Is that like CX or something? What's that?
No, I'm doing it differently. I'm finding books I love.
Yeah.
And reaching out to them.
Great.
And saying, I love your book and I think you could make money and I can hear this character and I think I could play it. I'd love to meet with you.
Great. And then do you do it through a audiobook publishing house, or do you do
no, then I have them put it onto ACX. The idea was that I would keep up my publisher work and I met a friend, Hannibal Hills, and he had a site called Sleuthy that had an algorithm that helped you identify what books would pay and what books wouldn't with royalty share. And everyone looked down on royalty share, including me. But I thought as an experiment this year, I'll open 2 slots to do royalty share because I want to curate my portfolio and do the kind of thrillers that I really, really want to do. And so I reached out to 2 writers. But what I didn't understand was that I've already identified books that are really well selling. So because I've already identified those books, the writers were choosing to pay me. They were choosing not to do royalty share. They wanted to pay me. And then they told their friends. And then I was like, okay, but the idea was I was going to do 2 in between publisher books. Next thing you know, I'm spoiled for choice. And I mean, it sounds weird because in this industry, everyone in the world, every actor on earth has that moment where you're waiting for the cliff. We're like, will it all end? So you don't want to go, but I think it's a pity that we don't feel we can share. Oh, look, there's a way to maybe get more without making people feel bad. I'm not saying, ooh, I'm this great. I'm saying, send some letters on Amazon, guys. Take control, get a little bit of your own work in addition. Because, as an actor, I have actor friends that do their own one-man shows and, create your own work as well.
Yeah. Have that in your pocket so that when things are slow, you can always go out and do it.
Yeah.
But that's tough, hard. I've been very lucky that, You know, I got series that repeat, and I've worked with companies who use me often. I've never had to hustle for my own work.
But you don't
But I
dial it
never broke
in.
the American
You don't
mark.
dial it in. Can I challenge you on that? You have
Oh,
not been lucky. You have delivered. I've
oh,
listened to more books than I'll probably admit to you here, because you really will start to think I'm a bit weird fangirl. But I've never ever heard you once dial it in. Like, I've
no,
never
no,
heard you be tired, and you said you don't miss deadlines. So
yeah,
that's not luck. That's a jobbing actor delivering the goods.
yeah, no. I mean, and I do it because I love it. I
Yeah.
mean, don't you love being your own director and
Yeah.
getting to play?
I'm obsessed with it. I love it.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you've done plays and television, and people tell you how to play the part. Well, not when you're narrating an audiobook.
Yeah. Yeah. I always had body image issues. So I'd be on set, and I was always thought I was fat, which is ridiculous, because like, you're supposed to be acting. I did an amazing part, a lead in something, and the experience was ruined for me. And it was an amazing part with an amazing Greek director in Camden, that
Mm.
George, and I loved him and I loved the part, and I ruined it for myself because I spent the whole time thinking I was fat. I could have done this if I was skinny, which is like so stupid. It's like
How old were you
stupid.
then?
It was embarrassingly not that long ago.
Uh,
It
you over
was.
it now?
Well, because I do audiobooks,
Yeah,
so I'm never fat.
I can see you.
It's maybe part of why I love it so much, because I can be free to act and I don't ever feel judged,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But yeah, I
No,
probably
I
should show
mean,
up in person.
I, you don't read your reviews, do you?
I have someone that reads them for me. We check each other's reviews once a month, and if there is anything like, oh, this girl's developed a weird vocal thing, and it comes up, and like, we'll tell each other
Okay.
in a professional way. So I'm not high, because I feel early on, I think it was Sean Pratt, and I believed him. He said, if you're hiding from your reviews, you could miss something important. But I also know myself, and and not bad reviews. Good reviews aren't good either,
Yeah.
because it's telling you what matters is what some guy ordering pizza in some state you've never heard of thinks of you is more important than your writers and your publishers and you. So I have someone. Do you read yours?
No. I mean, I came across one once. I'd read a bunch of stories about hunters, and I had mispronounced the name of the rope that they pulled themselves up into their deer hides with. And this guy was livid. He was really, I mean, this guy doesn't know anything about hunting. And I was so tempted to get back to him and say, yeah, but I think I tell a story better than you do. So, did you laugh at the stories? You know, but I don't go there. It's too much. Social media is maybe I'm
I
too old.
know, which is why it took me 200 calls to find you.
Did you find the voice agent in the end? Was
Yes,
cute?
it's the first one I've ever reached out to an actual, and I was like, excuse me, do you know Jeff Harding?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my friends can attest to the fact that I was very, very excited, because I I aspire to tell a story, to tell specifically a thriller, as well as
Hmm.
you do. I want someone to listen to my thrillers and feel like they're wherever the characters are, going
Yeah.
through the crazy
Okay.
ride.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I aspire to that, and I love that, and I can't get enough of your narrating. I just, yeah, I'm a fangirl. I can't even pretend I'm not.
Cool.
So here we come to the question that I hit everyone with.
Okay.
if you could leave the audience, the YouTube audience that's going to be watching this in the next 100 years, with one thing, one piece of advice, one thing you've learned in your career, one thing you think is crucially important, what would that be?
Enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, the audience isn't. I mean, on the most serious book, I'm laughing inside, and I want that to come through.
You are. I'm always rooting for your guy. I'm always rooting for him.
Come on, how many times have I saved the world?
You have, look, and there was one book you did, and I remember thinking, I wouldn't like this guy, but he's made him somebody that I like. He had a daughter, and it was like a haunted house or something, and he had a daughter. I can't remember. You don't even remember your own books. You've done so many at this.
No, of course not.
But you made me like the guy somehow because you were so in the character.
Yeah, well, he doesn't hate himself, does he?
Yeah,
So
even sociopaths don't hate themselves. I was shocked. I did a multicast, and the girl had like a nervous breakdown. And okay, at the end, she did eat her girlfriend. But throughout the book, she was, I find, the most likable character, I thought.
okay. Yeah.
I was shocked that people were like, oh my God, what? I genuinely loved her. Like, I think that's.
You should.
Yeah.
I mean, she's yours.
Yeah.
You know, owner.
And she was justified. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm a bad guy, but I don't think I'm a bad guy. Other people think I'm a bad guy.
Exactly. Okay. Jeff Harding, I can only say, could you please finish this book faster because I need another one to check out? And also, if you remember the name of that time travel one, let me know.
I will look that up for you and get back to you.
Okay. I am so honored. I am such a fangirl. I really, really am. I'm just so tickled pink that you came on this call and spent time with us. You're one of the greats.
Well,
You
thank
really
you very
are one
much.
of the greats.
You're one of the greats for spreading the word. Thank you for doing
Well, I've
that.
been spreading the word for years. You just weren't on social medias.
For all of us. I mean, it's good to talk about this stuff. You know, the joy of working alone we've talked about. The downside is you don't get a lot of feedback, unless you seek it out. But it's nice to do this. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're amazing. You're a big, huge fan. So thank you very much. Yeah, I'm so Beatles girl territory, guys. I admit it. So
Well,
thank you for joining the
maybe we'll
call.
bump into each other in some studio on a multi.
Yes, if I could meet the Jeff Harding someday. That's yes.
Come on.
So, and someday I'm going to do thrillers like you do thrillers. Someday I am. I'm going to reach that level. I'm just going to keep working at it till I'm like.
Have fun doing it.
Yes, I will. Thank you, Jeff. You're the best. Thank you guys for joining as always. Mwah! You're all
nice
amazing. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.